Disc Golf Podcast, an average podcast for the average disc golfer. As always, I'm Evan Amstutz, joined by survivor of the Oregon Trail, Dan Hesser. We're happy you could join us. Dan, how are you doing today?
Oh my gosh, man. So we went, for those who don't know, we just went up to Oregon. That's where my partner's next contract is up here in Medford, Oregon. So we went the more southern route to avoid snowstorms and mountains and stuff like that. So we went like through Texas and up through like Nevada and Arizona, and then went up into California and into Oregon. Okay. But apparently there were like cyclone warnings and winter like storms. So we got caught. There was like a logging truck that overturned and like spilled their load, and somebody like tried to get around him and crashed into stuff. So like we added like a couple extra hours to our trip trying to divert, and went through a couple snowstorms. Like when you say survivor of the Oregon Trail, I don't know if you were trying to be funny, but holy bleep, it was crazy, man. It was insane.
I was going to make more of a dysentery joke, but avoiding a
No,
log truck and cyclones is a little
it
bit
was
more like
insane.
Final Destination.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know. Yeah. But we got to see some cool stuff. So like Antelope
Awesome.
Canyon and Death Valley or Death Valley. I think that's not what it's called.
You told me last week that you were recording from Death Valley,
Yeah,
which
right, Death
had
Valley.
no Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's where I was. Trying to make
Yeah,
sure.
makes sense.
Super cool though. Yeah. Man, tell me about this trip that you just went on. You just went and hit like, I don't know, all of the top 100 around this area?
Yeah, so not as long of a road trip as yours, but I went with Josh Hatcher and a couple of his friends. We drove up to IDGC in Augusta and played WR Jackson and uh, Steady Ed. Those courses were incredible.
Did you stop at because I know they have like a historic, like a museum, like a disc golf museum.
Yeah, so it's in the pro shop. Hot take, it's aight. It's fine. Like,
Bruh, for real? You didn't like take a picture of you pointing at it like it was the Mona Lisa or something?
yeah, believe it or not, it was just older frisbees. Like, I might be disrespecting some people there, but
Oh gosh.
it's one of those things where the sport is still so young that like
Yeah.
I've seen some of that stuff in the wild. It's
Like a
kind of hard,
condor, and you were like, ooh, a condor.
right? Whereas like growing up playing ball golf and having the World Golf Hall of Fame right down there, and having like the gutta balls and the
Yeah.
stuff that they used in Scotland in the early
Yeah.
1800s, like it's a bit different. So maybe my frame of reference wasn't like, I'm also not a disc golf historian. I'm not been one to go like, oh wow, this is like the first course that they put in this area. Like that's just not been my thing. It was still really cool. Still cool to see all the plaques on the walls for those inducted into the Hall of Fame. It'll be cool to see. It's a very small building. That was surprising. It'll be cool when that needs to be in a bigger building just to
Yeah, for sure.
facilitate. Like again, as the sport grows, as the sport gets older, your Hall of Fame doesn't need to be in a small building.
Yeah. Makes
But
sense.
man, WR Jackson was quite the course. It's going to be weird saying this, but I can see how Paul shot 16 down. But at the same time, it made him shooting 16 down like that much crazier. Like
Okay.
it's a very fair course.
Yeah, that's what everybody says.
You hit your gap, you make your upshot, you make the putt. Like there was not a single time on really any course except for one of all of our trip that we went, what the heck are we expected to do here?
Yeah, it
Like
was
the
pretty
fairway was
straightforward.
very
Yeah.
defined.
Yeah.
If you missed the fairway, you were screwed.
Right. As you
But
should be. You should be
right.
punished.
And good shots were rewarded, bad shots were punished severely.
Lashings. Got it.
But WR was quite the experience. Then played steady ed. Next day was grueling. We got up at like 7 o'clock in the morning, played around at 8 o'clock in South Carolina, Clemson, South Carolina, Grand Central, which is a very cool course. Then played probably one of the more fun courses, probably the most fun course I've ever played. North Georgia Canopy Tours disc golf course.
Is that the one with the chicken coop?
It's the one with the chicken coop.
Yeah.
And the chicken coop is like maybe the fifth or sixth most interesting hole on that course. Like it's kind of a gimmick around the chicken coop hole, but there were some really, really well designed holes.
Is that the one with the cave too, that you're kind of throwing in the like downhill a little bit, and there's like this cave right behind it?
No, there were no caves at this one. There was another course on property that we did not play. That it might have been that. We, of course, were trying to hit a third course that day. So we then drove just outside of Atlanta to Little Mulberry Park, which was like dream level of, if this could be my park that I play all the time, it would be incredible. Like, again, super fair. Like when we think wooded disc golf in Florida, there are some holes that are like, this is just dumb. What do you want me to do here?
Yeah, you want me to flex like a right to left finishing right again shot. That's just like
With a 2-foot gap at the end. So even if you
yeah,
pure absolutely everything, you might get a 40-footer.
yeah. I know those courses.
That wasn't the case until we got back to Tom Brown Park on our last day in Tallahassee, which, another hot take, I think the longs were kind of a secondary thought at that course.
Yeah.
That there were some pretty unfair lines, and then we'd go look at the short pad, and the short pad's like, oh, this is like perfect. It's difficult, but it's not stupid.
Home Kenny Climo, the champ.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never played Tom Brown. I've never really. The only reason why I would ever go to play Tom Brown, I feel like, is if I could maybe have a chance of running into the champ. But I mean, other than that, I mean, from everything I've seen of it, it's kind of. But
It's good.
I'm glad you had a lot of fun, man. You brought or Josh brought his dog or something like that, and
Yep.
you guys got to experience that. So that's super fun, and glad you had a good trip.
Yep. Hit a lot of trees, beat in a lot of discs. And if you'd like a new disc, keep an eye out for our giveaway. This month, we'll be giving away a Glow Berg Compliments of the Disc Shop.
Well, we got some pretty good guests lined up for this week. To kind of jump into that, this week we have on the Careys, Deann and AJ Carey.
This week's episode is brought to you by The Disc Shop. One of the best days for a disc golfer is New Disc Day. With different runs of discs, the best way to get exactly what you want is by seeing what you're buying. The Disc Shop in Middleburg, Florida has the largest selection in-store in Jacksonville. Want the latest from Discmania? The Disc Shop has you covered. Looking for starter kits to introduce your friends? Head on down to the Disc Shop. If you prefer the convenience of online shopping, head over to thediscshop.com for all your disc golf needs. Listeners get 10% off when using the code MDGPOD at checkout online or by mentioning the podcast while in store. Located halfway between Trinity and Ronnie Van Zant, the Disc Shop is the spot.
All right, so this week we have on AJ and Deann Carey. Guys, how are you?
Great. How are you?
Doing well.
Good. Glad to hear it. So we always like to kind of start, and I know that everybody, this is the typical podcast question, but we always like to start with how you got into disc golf and what your journey's been in the sport. So, Deann, let's start with you.
Oh, okay. So AJ actually got into disc golf first.
Oh, okay. Well, we start with him, I guess.
I'll start it out. So Dee and I, we've been together since high school, and since before we even picked up a disc.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started playing about senior year of high school into freshman year of undergrad, and I started playing just for fun. There was a course at my college and my high school, and I got hooked. It was a lot of my friends. We played on an ultimate club, and we all decided, let's go try this disc golf thing. You know, I wasn't that into it at first, and then my whole ultimate club stopped playing ultimate and was playing disc golf every day. So I picked it up, and it was a lot more social. And so fast forward like a whole nother year of it, and
That's what.
I'm starting to play I get into the tournament scene of disc golf, and I started leaving, and like 8 months down the road, Deann's like, "Hey, I want to go to these tournaments with you," and I'm like, "Well, you got to play." And like, me and my friends were like, "You can't come and just hang out. All right, none of that. You got to play. Like if you're coming here, we're playing. We're strictly business." I'm thinking, all right, Deann's out. It's just, we're back to the boys trip. No. So Deann's like, all right, I'll play. Give me some pink discs. And so Deann signs up for her PDGA at IDGC.
Well, I started playing like middle of the week one week, and then that weekend AJ was going to Georgia to the IDGC for
the amateur championship.
Yeah, for the amateur championships in like 2014. And so I was like, okay, can I go with you? And he was like,
there's open spots.
He was like, well, no, he said at first he was like, well, you can just come and hang out and we can go camping. And I was like, no, I want to play. So the first week I ever picked up the disc, I went, and Friday morning, back when you could just sign up for a tournament day of,
at an A tier.
Keep that. I signed up for the PDGA and the tournament, and then I've played a tournament almost every single weekend ever since.
Yeah.
Was that on WR Jackson?
I played Steady Ed and Warner.
But yeah, same facility.
Facility.
I just played those this weekend. Any of those courses are not easy starter to start playing disc golf or start playing tournament disc golf.
It is the amateur championship, so they have it set up in the shortest layout, so it's friendly, but not your first weekend out playing disc golf, though.
Yeah.
So I think Deann had 3 lightweight pink discs, and she was like, "Well, I guess I'm learning this weekend."
It's the definition of being thrown into the fire.
Yeah, so it's not many people would say that's their starting to disc golf story.
That's amazing.
We picked up disc golf and I found the competitive side of it, and once I played my first PDGA tournament, I didn't stop playing them, even though like my first one I think I played rec and got near dead last, and I was hooked from the start. I said, like, you mean I can come and play, and if I do well, I leave with a stack of frisbees? I'm like, I'm hooked. that was it. It never really started out as like, hey, we might do this for a living. It was just all early competition. When we started from rec and moved all the way up.
Nice. So, Deann, were you the only player in that division, or at the championship?
There was 2 of us, and I think she beat me by like 90 something strokes. But she awesome, doesn't play anymore.
Yeah, that was probably your last time playing with that girl. So.
Because I looked her up, I think like 3 weeks ago. I looked up that tournament, and she doesn't play anymore. Her PDGA number is expired.
Oh gosh!
Wow.
So when was your guys's? Because AJ, I know you won Am Worlds.
That was 2017.
Yep. And then did you immediately start touring after that? I'm sorry, I don't really know your backstory very well, so please forgive me.
No, so 2017 I won Am Worlds. I just that tournament was I think in July. That May I graduated from undergrad, and so it was like maybe 2 weeks before going to Am Worlds, I started working at Innova Disc Golf in Rock Hill. And so that was like my first trip out. I was like, I just got the job, and I was like, hey guys, I'll see you in 2 weeks. I'm going to go to Am Worlds. Ironically, win Am Worlds, and then I come back and I work for Innova for 2 years almost. And for the 2019 season, that was when we went on tour full time. So that February, February of 2019. So, during that time, I was playing regional A tiers, B tiers, C tiers, anything I could get my hands on. But also during that time, I was working full time in a disc golf in Rock Hill.
And Deann, you were playing kind of the same type of tournaments that AJ was, or kind of going to the same ones, or?
Yeah, I didn't actually turn pro until 2018, because after he won Am Worlds, he was like, well, I'm just going to go pro. There's no point. And then I wanted to win Am Worlds in Charlotte, which is
It was 2018.
in 2018, because it's our backyard. So I was like, I want a chance to win. And so I turned pro right before we went on tour in 2018.
Oh, okay. Awesome. And how was that transition for both of you guys from FA1, MA1 to FPO, MPO?
For us, even though we were AMs, we didn't play MA1 or FA1 really. Most of the time we played MPO and FPO. We just didn't take cash.
Yeah,
gotcha.
So that whole year, like of 2017, leading up to that Am Worlds, we were playing FPO and MPO, because the mindset was, well, if we can go out and we can be competitive against in the professional open field, we're going to be competitive in AM1. So it was like we would rather not cash and playing pro, but gain that experience versus, win an amateur event. We did play amateur A tiers.
Yes.
So if it was an amateur A tier with a big stack of players, we were definitely playing in that.
But anything else we played,
yeah, B tier, C tier, always open to get that experience and get just to feel that pressure, get a chance to play with better players than ourselves. So, and if you cash at the time, that was before the PDGA had a rule about cashing and amateurs taking merch.
We could just take merch.
We could take merch at any of those that the merch was available. So like we could take our payout and directly get that out of merch. The PDGA passed a rule that made that a lot more difficult after we already turned pro.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So had us be in the current rule situation, we would have played amateur, but we could go and play pro and still accept all of that and merchandise.
So that's generally a topic of conversation of when to move up, whether that's AM to pro or within the different divisions of AM. How would your experience, how would you recommend to an AM to move through the ranks and all that?
So the PDGA has a great amateur system for rating per division. Now, so saying once your rating bumps, like say if the intermediate, I think is what 900, or when I was playing it was like 935. It if to bump up from intermediate to advanced, once you hit that cap, of course you should bump up. But talking from advanced to open, I look at it as like if you're playing advanced, look at your ratings. I know some of them are subjective, but look at how it pairs out to the open field. If you play the same layouts, see how your scores are. If you're in that cash line or close to that cash line, I think that's a point where you move up, you get that experience. And when you're playing with better players, normally you'll play better. And so that's the way I look at it is if everybody's killers on my card, we're going to light that course up.
Yeah, makes sense.
You know, that's the way the way I like to look at it. You know, I don't know. Yeah.
How about you,
Deann, what
Deann?
about
Does that change like in the FA divisions or FPO divisions, or is it kind of the same mindset?
For me, it's the same mindset. And because right now, like I really, for my personal experience, I was very fortunate that I got to play, since I played in the FPO field, I got to play with players like Sarah Cunningham and Elaine King on a daily base or a weekly basis. And those are the people that I'm trying to beat. And so whenever I remember the first time I ever beat Elaine, that was like a goal of mine for 5 years, I think. And then I finally beat her. And it was like the best feeling in the world. And so for me, I think that you're better off getting the experience of playing up. It's not for everyone, but I think that it helped me become a better player.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I feel like if you play with people that maybe aren't as good as you, or are, you know, at your same level, there's nobody really there to push you or to you know, force you. And when you play with people that are much better than you automatically just play better. Um, at least in my at least in my my experiences, when I play with people that are better than me, I tend to perform a little bit better. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I would
Yeah, I
definitely
like
agree with
this.
that.
I would like to say that, you know, good shots are contagious, bad shots are contagious.
They are.
So, you know, that's the way I like to look at it. When I was playing open, if I got a chance, like from let's say when I was MA1, moving up and playing open, if I come from North Carolina, so I'm playing with Barry Schultz, I'm playing with MJ, Chris Dickerson, Cam Todd. You know, if it's a winter event, you know, Germ might be there, Yuli might be there. Like, we got all these great killers in the area, and a host of many more names that nobody's ever heard of that will take your lunch money. So
Tyler, he's a great player.
yeah, right, yeah, absolutely. You know, so it's like we're thinking about when I play up, you elevate your game a little bit. You have to bring more of a intensity, and I mean, if you aspire to be at the top, you know, that's what you want. You want to see that whether you play bad or not in the rounds. You want to watch what the best shots are doing, and what better way to be than be front row.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. I agree with that. So, talking a little bit about your transition into touring and how that all started, what drove that, and what was your experience? Maybe your first year on the road, and your second, and your third. Like how did that kind of snowball, and how did that build to where you're at today?
Well, let's say I won AM Worlds in 2017, and I really wasn't going to that tournament and envisioning really to think about winning it. I just
Yeah.
went into it and had a lot of fun, and it was like I went and enjoyed it. I was thinking that I'm about to start my job at Innova. It's like this is how my career starts, and I went out there and won the thing, and like really was thinking to myself, well, you know, if I can win that tournament, I can win other big tournaments. You know, maybe I can do this on the road. Like, maybe that I can be a pro at this. You know, it started really opening that door in my mind, and got me really thinking about it. And so I like really flipped my script. I wasn't really thinking about going on the road until after I won that tournament. I was like, pretty much changed my whole mindset after that big win, and yeah, so I brewed on that for like 2 years, and in 2018 I went out and played Maple Hill and the World Championship, and I rode in the Discmaniac RV. I was sponsored by Discmania, so I was with Colton Montgomery, Konopanis, and Bartosz Kowaleski.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry,
awesome.
Kona Montgomery, but at the time was Panis. But we were all traveling, and we did like the Northeast swing. Maple Hill, and then it was the Worlds 2018. And I fell in love with it. I fell in love with like that 3-week trip. I was like, man, this is what I want to do. Like, screw working this warehouse job. We've been saving money for a long time, and it's time to do this. So I literally get back from that. I'm like, Deann, I don't care if you go, but I'm going. Like, I'm going. You're coming. You can choose to come with me or not. I'm going. And so it's like, we went out and bought a van, and it started the building process of the van, which let's just say that was like a 3-year endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
At the end, from start to finish, it went through 3 iterations. But yeah, so we went on tour and took our savings and went on the road, and 2019 was over, and we were just newly married in 2018 in October. So it's like we were fresh to being married, moved into a van, and we survived 2019, and we're like, well, I guess we'll do it again. And so we're starting our 5th season or 4th season.
So what is it like touring together?
5th. Oh, I mean, wouldn't have it any other way. I mean,
Yeah.
It's definitely there comes its challenges of being, living with your spouse in a enclosed
But it's
vehicle.
great. Now we got a dog.
Yep.
And it's even more better.
Yeah.
More better. Even better.
Yeah.
Your dog's adorable too.
He
I
is
forget the name. Oh my
Onyx.
gosh, it is so cute. Onyx, yeah, it's
Yeah.
so cute. Oh my
Yeah, I
god.
know he's growing like a weed. He's about 50 pounds now.
Yeah.
And
You're gonna have to start an Instagram account just for the dog.
Look,
I think
I
so.
gotta deal with my own Instagram account.
Nice.
For Onyx wants to take care of mine.
I need to get
got
him his own manager.
There you go. There you go.
Well, that wraps up part 1 of our interview with the Carey family. You can find their YouTube channel, Carey Disc Golf, AJ on Instagram at @TheRealAJ Carey, Deann at @TheRealDeann Carey, Dan at DHesser, and me at Evan Amstutz DG. Remember to follow the pod on Instagram at Mediocre Disc Golf Pod and on Twitter at Mediocre DG Pod. If you'd like to support us, buy our shirts on mythicdiscgolf.com and listen to us every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. If you enjoyed the show, leave us 5 stars in a review, and if you didn't, still give us 5 stars and tell us why. We know we aren't perfect because we are mediocre. Have a good night.